Today's deep dive, we've been looking at this economist, Marian Tupy, and his book. He's saying a bigger population could actually make us richer, more innovative. Like for centuries, more people equals more problems. That was the default.
Exactly. More mouths to feed, less to go around, the drill. But then, boom, the Industrial Revolution happens.
And suddenly we're not just growing, but thriving in a lot of ways.
Exactly. And Tupy would argue, why did that happen? Because we tapped into a different kind of resource, something that's not finite, not like land or oil.
Knowledge.
Bingo. We figured out how to do more with less, how to find new solutions, new ways of thinking about things.
Instead of just being limited by physical stuff, we start being limited by our own creativity.
Exactly. And Tupy argues that creativity, that knowledge, it's the key to unlocking abundance. Think about oil. Way back when, it was a nuisance, just this gooey mess. Knowledge transformed it from a nuisance to black gold.
So our understanding of something literally changes its value.
Exactly. And Tupy lays out 9 ways this knowledge abundance works.
9 ways. All right, hit me with a couple. I got to hear this.
We just talked about discovering new uses for existing things, like the oil example. But there's also adding value to simple things. Think sand. Just your regular beach day sand. Now, with the right knowledge, that sand becomes glass, right?
Sure, I can see that.
But it doesn't stop there. That glass becomes the lens in a microscope, which lets us see things we never could before, leading to all sorts of scientific advancement.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
And then take that same glass, turn it into fiber optic cables, and suddenly we're talking about the internet, all from sand.
All right, point taken.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible when you think about it that way. Okay, so that's 2 ways. What else we got?
There's also the whole efficiency thing. We're constantly figuring out how to do more with less. Smaller phones, later cars, you get the idea. Little changes add up. And it's not just about using less, it's also about substitution. Whale oil to electricity, horses to cars.
And who knows what we'll be driving in 100 years.
See, the possibilities are endless when you think about it. And it's not just physical stuff either. Tupy talks about this thing, dematerialization, where we use knowledge to get the same results with less stuff overall.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like, my phone is a perfect example, right? It's 10 gadgets in one.
Exactly. Camera, GPS, music player, all in your pocket. We don't even realize how much stuff we don't need anymore.
Kind of makes you wonder what else we can dematerialize.
Tupy even brings up this wild idea, transmuting elements.
Wait, turning lead into gold? That's possible.
Theoretically, with enough energy. We're not there yet. But it shows the limits we think we have might not be so fixed after all.
Mind-blowing. So we're not short on resources, just short on imagination.
In a way, yeah. Though people have been worried about this stuff for ages, Tupy talks about how ancient Rome, Greece, even China...
They all had their worries about too many people, right?
Totally. They saw the upside, more people means more ideas, more progress, but also that resource crunch.
Makes sense. Back then, resources meant whatever your land could provide. They couldn't imagine the leaps we'd make.
Exactly. And that brings us to a darker example, China's one-child policy.
Yeah, Tupy doesn't shy away from how badly this stuff can go wrong if we get it backwards.
Not at all. He calls the one-child policy a cautionary tale. What happens when fear of scarcity trumps everything else?
It was brutal, forced sterilizations, families torn apart, all because of this idea they had to limit population growth.
Driven by that Malthusian fear we talked about, and look at the result. A shrinking workforce, aging population, even gender imbalance.
So trying to control population backfired spectacularly, created more problems than it solved.
It really highlights what Tupy keeps saying. Human ingenuity, that's the wild card, not just how many people there are.
So then, if we're not all going to starve because of overpopulation, what's the real roadblock, according to Tupy?
That's the question, isn't it? He doesn't pretend to have a crystal ball, but he's pushing us to think bigger.
What if instead of fearing a planet that can't handle us, we focused on unleashing everyone's potential?
Exactly. He calls it cautious optimism.
Cautious optimism. I like the sound of that. Not ignoring the real problems, but not assuming it's all downhill from here.
Looking at history, humans are pretty good at solving problems we thought were impossible.
So the real question isn't, can the planet take it? But how do we unlock all that human potential?
Now you're getting it. And that's where things get really interesting.
It's funny, right? We start talking dystopian sci-fi. And now I'm walking away thinking, hey, maybe things aren't so bleak after all.
It's a nice change of pace, isn't it? Ditching the doom and gloom for a little cautious optimism.
Really, Tupy's making us rethink this whole idea of limits. What if, instead of not enough to go around, it's more like we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do?
And if he's right, if human ingenuity is the real resource, a bigger population isn't a threat. It's potential, just waiting to be unlocked.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? Turn all those people into superabundance?
Throughout history, the biggest breakthroughs, they often come from unexpected places, people going against the grain, challenging the status quo.
So it's not just on governments or some big plan. It's about fostering that spirit of what if in everyone.
Exactly. Cultivating curiosity, rewarding creativity, even embracing failure as part of the process.
I love that. Switching from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. It's almost like we have to rewire our brains to see the possibilities instead of just the problems.
Takes a conscious effort, but imagine if we could pull it off. If everyone starts looking at the world through that lens of superabundance, who knows what we could accomplish?
That's a great point to end on. We went from Thanos snapping his fingers to the potential of human ingenuity being practically limitless. And for everyone listening, we want to know, what really stuck with you? Did anything we talked about today challenge your assumptions? What questions are you still wrestling with?
Because this isn't just about Tupy's ideas, it's about what you do with them. How can you apply this to your own life, your work, the world around you?
So get out there and create some superabundance.